Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my NHL 20 franchise mode here in the state of hockey. In the previous episode, we yet again swept the Colorado Avalanche. Last time we met, we reverse swept them, but similar to the first round of this Stanley Cup playoffs, we swept the team. We are unbeaten through the first two rounds of the 2033 Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's been a ride so far, Even though it's only been 8 games, 8 wins in a row, it's been a good playoff run, especially with that OT victory, Kaprizov coming in clutch because he's the captain and that's what he does. It's been a ride so far, but we don't want it to end here. But let's go ahead and check out the stats for the first 8 games of the postseason. Now, when I came in to the last video, I was talking to a few people in general, like Step Up. Anthony Francis had 0 points after the first series. And as you see right there, he and a few other guys have finally stepped up, which is very, very big for us. But currently leading this squad in points, Cal Newman. Does that surprise you? He's always a clutch performer. You go back to our first few runs of Stanley Cups, 25 points, 22, 27. He's a damn good player. Still the most underrated player on the squad, I think. Because, you have Anthony Francis and Pietrangelo on your squad. You're always going to be underrated. But him stepping up, it has been huge for us. So we need that going forward. Harrison Hadar, the rookie, the guy that I never thought would get an NHL opportunity this season. I thought maybe next year, the year after, he would be ready for a shot in the big leagues. He came in this year. He's going to win a Calder. He led all rookies in points. He was the best rookie by far. Now he's out here in the postseason as the second-line center, putting up over a point per game in his first ever postseason situation. That is huge for us. Let's talk about the man Anthony Francis for a second. Anthony Francis was the most disappointing person through the first round. He was, that's a fact. But after 2 rounds, he went off. He was definitely one of the most important parts of our squad from Game 4 to 8. He was good for us, and I need that going forward. It cannot stop here. The captain, Kirill Kaprizov, with 6 goals, 2 game winners, 3 power play goals, one of his game winners being the OT victory against the Colorado Avalanche in game number 4. Obviously important. Alexei Pietrangelo, 7 points through 8 games. He was a guy who was pretty disappointing after the first round, but him and Anthony Francis definitely stepped up to the podium and definitely helped us out there. Because Colorado was a very well-built team. They had Gustav Slychuk, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen. They had a lot of guys on that squad where I'm like, okay, this is... If we're going to lose to a team, it's going to be this one. But a lot of guys stepped up. Same with Louis Langweeder. He had a difficult regular season. We know why. He wasn't playing any power play time. I get that. I understood he wasn't going to have the best statistical season. He had another great goal-scoring season. 28 goals. I'm okay with that. 49 points. Coming into the postseason, putting up almost a point per game is exactly what we need. No penalty minutes, too, for a power forward, which is kind of crazy. Sergei Gogolev, now, I don't know where I stand on him in the future, right? Because we're paying him all this money. We're paying him $7 million for 2 more years. It's a debatable contract. He's been good in the regular season. Both these last 2 seasons, he's been very good. But with Harrison Hadar becoming such a good second-line center so quickly, where do we stand on a guy like Sergei Gogolev who's playing third-line time? It's not a debate for right now, but going forward, it'll be something to talk about. Now for the bottom, or for the fourth line, or for the third line and below, Bobalev with 3 points. Pretty good defensively. No penalty minutes for a grinder, which is impressive. McKinnon is a +4, 2 points. Not too shabby. Danner came in for 3 games, 1 point, throwaway. Hudobin's been kind of disappointing, especially for a guy who I think's going to take over for Langleader in the very near future. I wish he would have a better performance here. Habby Bulin, not the worst. Lena Waters might have to go. Definitely is one of those talking points alongside a lot of other guys on the squad, especially with all these young players coming up into the league. He's definitely an idea to talk about later, but for right now, everybody seems to be pitching in. The depth is having a little bit of trouble. There's a few players here and there, but there's a few players exceeding expectations. Let's talk about defense, which is always the biggest talking point of this squad. Quinn Hughes, who will be dethroned as the reigning Norris winner for like 8-9 seasons in a row. The best part about that is that Brandt Clarke will be winning it with 101 points. Yes, 101 points as a defenseman. We've had 3 of those seasons in franchise history, which is incredible. Quinn Hughes coming out into the postseason, he's up to a 90 overall, so definitely morale is keeping him around a 90, which is huge for us going forward. We want him to stay an offensive presence, a defensive presence. $11 million for 2 more years. He's 100% worth that contract. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We want him to compete as a Norris. We want him to compete as a potential Norris winner for the next few years, especially till the end of his contract. So he's definitely stepping up in the postseason. Personally, I think Georges Bissonnette has been way more impressive than Quinn Hughes. 5 goals, 4 game winners. Personally, if you were to debate, who's the reigning, or who could be, if the playoffs ended right now, who would be the MVP for the squad? Georges Bissonnette is definitely high on that list. 5 goals, 4 game winners. He's been a presence all postseason long. No penalty minutes. It's not like I haven't been high on him for the last few years. The last 4 years have been phenomenal for him. He's definitely stepped up as a top 4 defenseman. I don't love him as much as Quinn Hughes and Brandt Clarke and a few other guys on the squad. But if you want to make a name for yourself, this is the right time to be doing that, Georges, and I appreciate that nonetheless. Brandt Clarke has also been good. +5, 5 points, no penalty minutes. He's pretty well known for his penalty minutes in the postseason, regular season, all that. Can definitely put up a few. Last year we only played 5 games last year, right? But he's definitely known for his physical traits and offensive traits, but he's been pretty good so far. Harry Parrish with 3 points, +1, no penalty minutes. I'm okay with that. Perez and Grossman, as rookies, I'll give them a little bit of a break. They are playing together, so that definitely it doesn't hurt them, but it makes this squad weaker for the time being. But I think going forward, these 2 guys are going to be very, very good. But it's only a matter of time. Let's talk about goaltending, and I know goaltending is voodoo, but we have to give a little bit of credit where credit is due. Christian Pettersson has been the best player on the squad through 8 games. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. He has been really, really good. And now that I say that, he's going to be our worst player. Because voodoo, right? Let's talk about the postseason so far. We're in the Western Conference Finals for the first time in a few seasons. We lost to Dallas last year. Season before, we won a Stanley Cup. Right? Let's talk about the postseason. Okay, first round, we swept Chicago, swept the Avalanche. The Edmonton Oilers swept the Anaheim Ducks and then beat the Jets in 7 games. So LA going the first round again. Sucks to suck. The Eastern Conference. Now there is a team I'm cheering for in the East, and that is the Detroit Red Wings, because I've crapped on them this entire franchise mode and the entire Columbus franchise mode because they never do anything ever. They're in a constant state of... So they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They swept the Rangers. They beat New Jersey in 6. I think at some point they were down 2-0 in the series. The Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be a team to rival, though. They beat Toronto in the first round in 7, and then they beat Florida in 5. This is going to be an interesting conference finals for both squads. But today, I know what you are here for. The Edmonton Oilers, 44-35-3 in the regular season. They had a great stretch down in the last 10 games, 8-2. That is definitely a reason why they're here. They stepped up when they needed to. And I know a few players on that squad now. They are aging. It is 2033. It is a few years removed from one of their best players in franchise history were drafted. And we are talking about the man, currently the best player in the NHL, I think. It's you can debate Sidney Crosby, but Connor McDavid is on every highlight reel, it seems, every single night. Connor McDavid, 94 overall at 36. He was drafted in 2015, first overall. I hope he makes it to the 20-year mark, but through his career, he has 1,734 points. Now, if he goes a few more years, he can definitely be a 2,000-point player. He's consistently getting a point per game, a few hundred-point seasons here, a few hundred-point seasons there. He's one of the most dominant players in NHL history up to this point. Now, during the postseason, he has 15 points, so he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And his wingers. You know, you have a great centerman, but it's always nice to have great wingers, because Wayne Gretzky had great wingers, but he made them better as a whole, right? So let's talk about Ilya Lazarev. I've seen this name on the block, I feel like, for the last decade of this franchise mode. Legitimately. 38 points this regular season. He was with Montreal his entire career in Laval, played in Russia, in Montreal. Not a bad player, but I feel like I always saw this guy on the block, and he's finally found his place here in Edmonton. Not the best regular season. I have a feeling they might have a scratch player, because that is definitely a weird tandem to have on that first line. I debate putting Arthur Kaliev up there as more of a offensive kind of player. And their other winger, they have Cohen Hodges, who was another player that I also saw on the block for quite some time. So Edmonton did their research, and they played it smart. They were definitely a struggling team for a while now. They haven't really won anything in this franchise mode, if I'm not mistaken. But they've kind of all put it all together for this run here to try to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's not a bad first line. It's definitely weirdly built, but Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid, right? Second line, Jay Schofield, former 23rd overall pick in 2023. He's been with Edmonton his entire career. 500 points in his career. Had his best regular season over a point per game, just over actually. Not a bad little player there. You have Timo Meier and Arthur Kaliev, so pretty aged top 6. Your youngest player there, I believe, is Cohen Hodges and Schofield. So drafted in the same year? 2023. Oh, they were. Wow, that was a great draft for Edmonton. Okay. Third line. It doesn't get any easier for us because they have Leon Draisaitl, the best German player in NHL history. Up to this point, I'd assume so. I mean, you got Von Sieg on LA, but man, oh man, Draisaitl has definitely taken a dip the last few seasons. But up till that point, he has been the man for the Edmonton Oilers. Just over a point per game in his career. Hall of Fame if he gets a cup. Even without a cup, probably. His wingers, you got Vitaly Abramov and Jesper Bratt. See, that third line confuses me because you have more offensively capable players. That first line is definitely weirding me out, though. Fourth line, you have Elias Anderson, Shane Bowers, and then you have Graham Berard. Actually, the youngest player on their offensive core. So, that's a solid offensive core. There's some decisions I'd make differently to their coach. But they're here for a reason. What is their defense looking like? Okay, you know what? Not one of the worst defensive cores I've ever seen. They definitely have their cornerstone in Ryan Merkley to hold down the defensive squad, 32 years of age, former draft pick of the San Jose Sharks. He's been a consistent 50-point player, was with San Jose for the majority of his career. He's been here in Edmonton, definitely been their best player. He was injured for a little bit this year, only playing 68 games. They also have Mikhail Sergachev. It's a really good tandem. Second pairing, you have Landon Commodore, who's 19. Oh, I see what they're going for here. Two 19-year-old medium elites. Edmonton has done their job here. So you have the 5th overall pick in 2031, and then the 3rd overall pick in 2032. I remember this player going. Edmonton with two really impressive defensemen going forward. This is definitely going to help them transition into a younger team. It's a really good top four there. Third pairing, Vince Dunn, and then you got Mathieu Lachance. Not a bad pairing. For a third pairing, you don't need anything super special, just like our team, but we have elite players on a third pairing, right? You don't need anything special, especially with all those offensive players and your top four. It's looking really solid, but you always know it comes down to goaltending. Their starting goaltender is Mika Hartikkanen. I know, I was pretty good at pronouncing that. Mika Hartikkanen. Yeah, I got it. Former Minnesota Wild goaltender, drafted him in the 5th round in 2020. Hasn't been on our squad he never even played a game for our organization, went off to Vancouver. So he's had himself an okay career, being the starter for a few teams, but he's definitely found his spot here in Edmonton. Then you got Bob Merce, who is also a Minnesota Wild goaltender. You love to see that. Any scratch players on the squad? Nick Ritchie, Jermaine Rupsov, and then you got Jason Robertson. You can definitely sub those players in somewhere, but this is going to be an interesting series nonetheless. I think we are the stronger team, but they're definitely weaker than the last two teams we faced. But they have Connor McDavid, who is their workhorse. He'll do anything they want him to do. So it is going to be a struggle here and there. We are undefeated in the postseason. Hopefully we can keep that streak up. Game number 1, home ice as the President's Trophy winners for I don't know how many years in a row. First period. 1-0. Alexei Petrangelov with the first goal of this round. We are shooting them 15-9, so definitely a high shot volume through 20. Second period. Oh, wow. Christian Pettersson with by far his worst period of the postseason so far, letting up 4 straight goals to the Edmonton Oilers. We are on pace to lose our first of the postseason. Shane Bowers, Connor McDavid, Jesper Bratt, and Lachance on that third pairing. So we're out shooting them. Christian Pettersson, of course, the moment I praise a goaltender, he goes and craps the bed. Now, obviously, like whenever I do that, they're like, oh, it's goaltending. What is goaltending? I don't know what goaltending is. Connor McDavid strikes again. It's over. What is this performance in game number 1, Minnesota? All the momentum was on your side. I know you're playing a differently shaped team, but you go and drop the ball like that, nobody shows up for Minnesota. Pettersson, I give you all the credit in the world. You becoming our starter, you have been our MVP up to this point. I need to continue trusting you. Yes, Edmonton might have got the hop on us, but I need everybody to show up in game number 2 to tie the series up after we dropped our first of the postseason. First period. 1-0. Minnesota. Are we really going to go ahead and do this? No. Don't make me freak out. It's middle of the day. I'm recording in the middle of the day. Do you know how impressive that is? I never do this. I don't want the whole neighborhood to hear me. Step up, Minnesota. Where is it? Where? What? Second period. Oh my. Pettersson, man. What? You've had a phenomenal postseason so far. The hell is where the offense could step up for you. It could. The offense gets us out of every situation. Mostly. Bobalev ties the game. Merkley and Jason Robertson, 2 straight, to take a 3-1 lead. We could be down 2-0 going into Edmonton, and I don't like that. Shots are still in our favor. We can make this a game of power play early, and we don't capitalize on that one. We've been terrible through the first 2 games here. Not even a complete 2 games. Do we go ahead and hit best lines for game number 3? Gogolev is literally the only dude stepping up. A minute left, and we drop game number 2. I mean, Pettersson had a rough second period again, but he wasn't the worst player on this squad. 3 goals against in a game shouldn't be the defeat, or shouldn't end this squad, especially with how amazing offensively we are. So we're going to go ahead and hit best lines for game number 3. I hate the way we're playing right now. I do. We're not playing like anything special right now. Let's just go with this. Hopefully it works out, because I'm starting to lose faith in this squad. We were unbeaten through 8, and then you go ahead and drop the ball like this. Pettersson, man, you got to be better. Everybody has to be better. There's some names that I'm paying tens of millions of dollars to, and I haven't seen their name once. Game number 3 in Rogers Place. We can cut this series lead in half, or they take a stranglehold over us. First period. 2-1. We have our first lead of the series. Cale Newman, Brant Clark, 2 power play goals back-to-back. Leon Draisaitl cuts the lead in half on 5 shots. Oh, Pettersson, don't become this goalie, man. You've had a great first 2 rounds. Second period. Okay, they tie the game. Gogolev has been the best player through the last 2 games. So definitely making a name for yourself, man. We're almost tripling them in shots. We have the 1-goal lead. Third period underway. Minnesota, please step up. Everybody step up, Minnesota. Lewis Langweder, big goal for the Wild, making a 2-goal lead, but this game is not over with yet. Halfway through the third period, can we hold on for 8 more minutes? Power play for Edmonton. Power play for us. Can't capitalize on either one of them, but I will take a victory in game number 3. Sorry, I had a moment there. Okay. Big game there for the Minnesota Wild. I don't know why I said Edmonton Oilers. Their worst game. Edmonton's worst game of the postseason so far. And Tampa Bay has a 3-0 lead over the Detroit Red Wings. No! Come on, Detroit! Pick it up, man! Okay, so we've cut the series lead in half. We can pull the stunt they pulled in Minnesota and take 2 on their home ice. Or they bring it to 1 game away from ending the series. Game number 4. Here we go, Minnesota. We can head back to the XL Energy Center with this series tied. Make it a best of 3. First period. What else do I have to say? What do I have to say, man? What is that? You're tripling them in shots, man. Oh, Pettersson, you've been so bad. You've been so good all season long, man. Where is everybody? They're not stepping up. Second period. Oh, for the love of God, man. What are you doing? I'm not even going to talk. The hell is this kind of performance? Anthony Francis, Pietrangelo, Kaprizov. Where are you guys? Where did you go? Sorry. Are you just sitting on your paychecks? Is that what your guys are doing? Oh my God. And we drop game number 4. They take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Wild. After a great 2 rounds, we are forced to elimination We'll have to win 3 straight to head to the Stanley Cup Finals. It is looking in Edmonton's favor at this very point in time. I hate this. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Do I go Kaprizov there? Kaprizov's been not great this entire round. Nobody's been great this entire round. Everybody has just stopped playing hockey. You. Not Bobby Lev. Bobby Lev's been great. Everybody else has sucked. Everybody has sucked. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. Because everybody's dropping the ball at this point in time. We just have to go with it. I have to trust this squad in some capacity. Game number 5. This series ends here or continues for one more, at least. First period. 1-0. A lead. Anthony Francis steps up. Finally, thank you. Taking one round off, being great in the second round, and taking another round off. Finally, you show up. Thank you. Shots are in our favor 10-8. Second period. 1-0. No. Shots are tied heading into the third period. Oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. Pettersson has been the best player in this game so far. The offense, our 100 overall offense, is doing absolutely nothing to help us. Third period underway. Will we go to game number 6? Oh, this is too close for comfort. I don't like this at all. Can we get some insurance here? Halfway through the third period, Anthony Francis' second goal of the evening. He's pulling this team along, dragging them through the mud. And it looks like we will take game number 5 and force a game number 6. So there is a tomorrow. Your 2 best players of this evening, Anthony Francis and Pettersson. Everybody else, where'd you guys go? Cale Newman's taking the night off. Kaprizov, Petrangelov, you're all taking the nights off. And obviously somebody had to go and flush the toilet. Thank you for making noises. Appreciate it. It's only whenever I record. It's either middle of the night or middle of the day. It doesn't matter. Game number 6, there is no pep talk going into this one. You need to capitalize. First period. 2-1. Louis Langmuir and Gogolev. Pettersson with a late period goal pulling the Minnesota Wild special. The Minnesota Wild special is letting up a late period goal, either 2 minutes to 10 seconds left. Thank you so much. I would have much appreciated 2-0 lead heading into the second period. 16 shots to 9 in our favor. Second period. Oh, God. Harrison Hadar and Georges Bissonnette, another marker for him, making it a pretty substantial lead for the Minnesota Wild, and Pettersson craps the bed again in this series. Lazarev with 2 straight goals, pulling Edmonton from the dead. Lazarev, get it? Ha? No? Tell me I'm not the only one that got that. Okay. Third period, you were out shooting them by 9. By 1 goal. Force a game 7 Minnesota. 1 goal lead. It won't hold up. Can we get a 2-goal lead back? Or 3-goal lead would be nice. Louis Langmuir, big goal from the big man, the power forward, getting Bissonnette. Yes, you absolute beauty. He always shows up looking like it might be another game-winning goal for him. Okay. It looks like... thank you, Timo Meier, for screwing that up for Bissonnette. You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck. You suck. But the Minnesota Wild force Game 7, rallying all the way back from 3-1 down. It is a brand new series. The winner will face Tampa Bay in the finals. Detroit tried to mount a comeback there, but it was all for naught. Minnesota. It's do or die right now. A Stanley Cup Finals, a Stanley Cup, or bust. There is no excuse for not winning a Stanley Cup. Another 60-win season for this squad. We need to be better. We can be better. Game number 7. First period. We'll slow some. Power play for Edmonton early. Okay, we kill it off. Big goal. Quinn Hughes, best defenseman in the NHL. Big first goal for Minnesota. Halfway through the first period. 1-0 Minnesota. 1-goal leads are not what I like to see, but it's a lead nonetheless. And obviously Connor McDavid ties the game. Can the goalie shut it down? Why is it always our goaltenders that let up late period goals? No, never any other goaltender. Okay, second period. We're out shooting them. See, I don't trust a 1-goal lead. Oh, Cale Noonan leading this team in points through almost 3 complete rounds, making it a 2-1 game. Minnesota Wild are up. Can we hold on to this lead? It's not a big lead. I don't trust this team enough to hold a 1-goal lead for over 2 periods. We're out shooting them by 10, 27-17. But the most important statistic this evening, it's 2-1 Minnesota. Third period. Power play early. They kill it off. Another power play. Anthony Francis with a big goal. Oh, Bobby Lev has been a beauty. 2 power play markers for Minnesota in game number 7. Anthony Francis with the big goal early in this period, and Minnesota will finish this series out in 7. The comeback is complete for the Minnesota Wild. Yet another comeback for this squad. We've done it in recent memory, not this postseason. After 2 consecutive sweeps, we force a game 7 in the Western Conference Finals and head to the Stanley Cup. The big dance is about to happen against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of stress. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please leave a like, leave a comment, share with people who you think may enjoy this sort of thing. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.